This video provides a guide to mastering analogy questions for various competitive exams. The content includes real exam questions, problem-solving techniques, and detailed explanations. The video aims to equip viewers with the skills needed to confidently tackle analogy-based problems. This tutorial is designed to improve performance on analogy questions found in SSC, UPSC, banking, and state-level examinations. Word relationship analogies assess the correlation between two given words. Understanding the relationship between the initial word pair is crucial for solving analogies. The core task involves identifying a parallel relationship in a different word pair. Successful analogy completion requires logical reasoning and vocabulary proficiency. Analogies are used to evaluate cognitive abilities and problem-solving skills. Word relationship analogies establish connections between two pairs of terms. The relationship between doctor and hospital mirrors the relationship between teacher and school. A doctor's workplace is a hospital, just as a teacher's workplace is a school. Analogies highlight shared contextual relationships between different concepts. Word relationship analogies identify connections between pairs of concepts. In the analogy, fire is to smoke as rain is to flood. Fire causes smoke. Similarly, rain can cause a flood, establishing a parallel causal relationship. The relationship between fire and smoke mirrors the relationship between rain and flood. Analogies highlight shared causal links between seemingly disparate events. Understanding these relationships enhances pattern recognition and problem-solving skills. Word relationship analogies illustrate connections between different concepts or entities. In this analogy, a poet's creation is a poem, establishing a creator-creation relationship. Similarly, a sculptor's creation is a statue, mirroring the creator-creation dynamic. The analogy highlights the parallel relationship: poet, poem, sculptor, statue. Both relationships demonstrate the transformation of creative ideas into tangible artistic forms. Understanding these analogies enhances comprehension of abstract relationships through concrete examples. The analogy pilot is to cockpit indicates a relationship of profession to work environment. The cockpit serves as the pilot's operational workspace. Similarly, driver is to steering wheel represents a relationship of operator to control interface. The steering wheel is the driver's primary tool for controlling the vehicle. In both analogies, the first term utilizes the second term to perform a specific function. These analogies demonstrate a consistent pattern of agent to essential tool or environment. Word relationship analogies establish connections between objects and their symbolic representations. A crown symbolizes a king, representing authority and regal power. A gavel symbolizes a judge, representing order, justice, and the power to make rulings. The analogy, king is to crown as judge is to gavel, demonstrates a relationship of symbolic association. Understanding symbolic relationships enhances comprehension and reasoning skills. Object and function analogies are based on the purpose or use of an object. Identifying an object's primary function is key to understanding its role in an analogy. The relationship between an object and its function forms the basis of the analogy. Analogies can be constructed by comparing objects with similar functions. Understanding the function allows for the identification of analogous objects. Object and function analogies enhance problem-solving by highlighting functional similarities. An analogy illustrates a relationship between two pairs of objects or concepts. In this analogy, a knife is related to the action of cutting. Similarly, a pen is related to the action of writing. The relationship knife is to cut mirrors the relationship pen is to write. Therefore, the analogy knife is to cut as pen is to write demonstrates a parallel function. Analogies highlight functional similarities between seemingly different objects or concepts. Analogies establish relationships between objects and their corresponding functions. Scissors are designed for cutting, illustrating a direct functional relationship. A spoon's primary function is eating, demonstrating another functional relationship. The analogy scissors is to cut, as spoon is to eat, highlights parallel functional relationships. Understanding object-function relationships is key to solving analogies. Analogies help in recognizing and understanding the purpose of different tools. Analogies establish relationships between objects or concepts based on shared characteristics or functions. A telescope's primary function is to observe distant objects, enhancing visual perception. Similarly, a camera's function is to photograph, capturing and preserving visual information. The relationship illustrates that a telescope is to observe as a camera is to photograph, highlighting functional equivalence. This analogy demonstrates how different tools serve distinct purposes within the broader context of visual representation. Analogies establish relationships between objects or concepts based on shared characteristics or functions. A thermometer's function is to measure temperature, providing a quantitative value. Similarly, a clock's function is to measure time, indicating hours, minutes, and seconds. The analogy, thermometer is to temperature, as clock is to time, highlights the parallel function of measurement. Both instruments provide quantifiable data, enabling objective assessment of physical properties. An analogy illustrates a relationship between two pairs of items. In the analogy, broom is to dust as mop is to floor, a broom removes dust. Correspondingly, in the analogy, broom is to dust as mop is to floor, a mop cleans the floor. The relationship between a broom and dust mirrors the relationship between a mop and a floor. Therefore, broom is to dust is analogous to mop is to floor. Animal and young one analogies assess knowledge of animal offspring pairings. Success in these analogies relies on familiarity with common animal offspring relationships. These analogies test the ability to identify correct matches between adult animals and their juvenile forms. Understanding biological classifications and developmental stages aids in solving animal offspring analogies. Correctly identifying animal offspring pairs demonstrates knowledge of animal reproduction and life cycles. The relationship between a dog and its young is analogous to the relationship between a cat and its young. A puppy is the term used to refer to a baby dog. A kitten is the term used to refer to a baby cat. This analogy highlights the consistent naming convention for animal offspring. Understanding these relationships aids in building vocabulary and comprehension skills. The young of a lion is known as a cub. The young of a horse is known as a foal. Lion is to cub as horse is to foal. This illustrates an analogy. Analogies establish relationships between pairs of items. In this analogy, the relationship is between an animal and its young. A cow's young one is referred to as a calf. Similarly, a goat's young one is known as a kid. The relationship between a cow and a calf is analogous to the relationship between a goat and a kid. These examples illustrate common animal and young one analogies. A duck's young one is referred to as a duckling. A hen's young one is referred to as a chick. The relationship between a duck and a duckling is analogous to the relationship between a hen and a chick. These relationships exemplify animal and young one analogies. Understanding these analogies helps in learning animal classifications. Analogies provide a simple way to understand biological relationships. The young one of a sheep is called a lamb. Similarly, the young one of a pig is called a piglet. Sheep is to lamb as pig is to piglet. This analogy illustrates the relationship between animals and their young. Understanding these relationships helps in learning animal terminology and natural science. Country and capital analogies assess general knowledge and memory recall. Success in these analogies depends on memorizing the capitals of various countries. These analogies test the ability to identify relationships between countries and their capitals. Proficiency in geography enhances performance on country and capital analogy questions. Understanding global geography is crucial for solving country and capital analogies. Country and capital analogies establish a relationship between a country and its corresponding capital city. In the analogy, India is to Delhi. India represents the country, and Delhi represents its capital. Similarly, in the analogy, Japan is to Tokyo. Japan represents the country, and Tokyo represents its capital. The capital city serves as the primary administrative and governmental center for the respective country. These analogies demonstrate a consistent pattern of association between a country and its designated capital. Country and capital analogies illustrate the relationship between a nation and its primary administrative center. France is to Paris as Germany is to Berlin exemplifies a direct analogy. Paris serves as the capital of France, functioning as its center of government and culture. Berlin acts as the capital of Germany, housing its federal government and representing its historical significance. Analogies provide a structured way to understand the connection between countries and their capitals. Country and capital analogies establish a relationship between a country and its corresponding capital city. China is to Beijing as Russia is to Moscow exemplifies this type of analogy. Beijing functions as the capital city of China. Moscow serves as the capital city of Russia. These analogies demonstrate a consistent relationship. Country, capital city. The capital city is the center of government and administration for a country. Country and capital analogies illustrate relationships between nations and their respective seats of government. Canada is to Ottawa as Australia is to Canberra represents a proportional relationship. Ottawa is the capital city of Canada, serving as its center of governance and administration. Canberra functions as the capital city of Australia, housing its national government and key institutions. Country and capital analogies illustrate the relationship between a country and its capital city. Italy is to Rome as Spain is to Madrid exemplifies a direct country-capital correspondence. Rome functions as the capital city of Italy, serving as its administrative and political center. Madrid serves as the capital city of Spain, centralizing its governance and national identity. Alphabet analogies utilize letter positions, assigning numerical values such as A1 and B2. The core task in solving alphabet analogies involves identifying the pattern or shift between letters. Patterns in alphabet analogies can include addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division of letter positions. Complex analogies may involve multiple operations or shifts applied sequentially to letter positions. Successful resolution of alphabet analogies requires logical deduction and pattern recognition skills. The analogy A is to C as E is to G demonstrates a sequential relationship. In this analogy, A advances 2 steps to become C. Similarly, E also advances 2 steps to become G. The consistent Jiao-2 relationship establishes the proportional link between the letter pairs. In an alphabetical analogy, B relates to E in a similar way that D relates to G. The relationship between B and E is defined by adding 3 to the position of B in the alphabet. Similarly, the relationship between D and G is also defined by adding 3 to the position of D in the alphabet. B plus 3 equals E, demonstrating the additive relationship in the alphabetical analogy. D plus 3 equals G, reinforcing the consistent additive relationship in the analogy. Therefore, the alphabetical analogy, B is to E as D is to G, is based on a consistent additive rule. In this analogy, Z relates to X in the same way that V relates to T. The relationship is defined by a consistent subtraction. Z2 equals X. This subtraction pattern is mirrored in the second pair, V2 equals T. The consistent subtraction of 2 establishes the proportional relationship between the letter pairs. This demonstrates a simple alphabetic analogy based on numerical position. In the analogy aces to BDF, each letter in the first group is shifted forward by 1 position in the alphabet to form the second group. The relationship between ACE and BDF establishes a pattern of sequential alphabetical progression. Applying the same logic, MOQ is transformed into NPR by incrementing each letter by 1. Therefore, the analogy ACEs to BDF, as MOQ is to NPR, demonstrates a consistent alphabetical incrementation. In the analogy BEHK is to CFIL, each letter in the first group shifts forward by 1 position in the alphabet to form the second group. Applying the same logic, DGJM transforms into EHKN by advancing each letter by 1. The core principle involves a consistent alphabetical shift, where each letter increments to its successor. This type of analogy relies on recognizing and applying a uniform transformation rule across letter sequences. Number analogies employ logical reasoning based on mathematical operations such as squares and cubes. The core task in solving number analogies is to identify the underlying mathematical rule or pattern. These analogies often involve sequences, ratios, or functional relationships between numbers. Successful resolution requires careful observation and application of mathematical principles. Number analogies enhance logical thinking and problem-solving skills. In the number analogy, 121 is to 11. The relationship is based on the square root. 11 is the square root of 121, demonstrating the inverse relationship between squaring and square rooting. Similarly, in the number analogy, 81 is to 9. The same square root relationship applies. 9 is the square root of 81, reinforcing the concept of finding a number that, when multiplied by itself, equals the original number. Square root analogies require identifying the number that, when squared, results in the given number. Understanding square roots is crucial for solving various mathematical problems and recognizing numerical patterns. The number analogy, 64 is to 4, demonstrates the concept of cube roots. The cube root of 64, denoted as 64, equals 4, because 4 multiplied by itself 3 times, 4x4 equals 64. The number analogy, 100 is to 10, illustrates the concept of square roots. The square root of 100, denoted as G known, how 4, 100, equals 10 because 10 multiplied by itself, tungsten, equals 100. Cube roots and square roots are mathematical operations that determine the base number which, when raised to a power, yields the original number. A number analogy expresses a proportional relationship between two pairs of numbers. In this analogy, the relationship is defined by multiplying the first number in each pair by 2. The multiplication factor of 2 maintains the proportional equivalence between the number pairs. Therefore, 2 is to 4 as 3 is to 6, based on the consistent application of multiplication by 2. The number analogy, 343 is to 7, implies a mathematical relationship based on cube roots. 343 is the cube of 7, meaning 7 multiplied by itself 3 times equals 343. Similarly, in the analogy, 512 is to 8. 512 is the cube of 8. 512 is derived by multiplying 8 by itself 3 times. 8x 8 equals 512. Cube roots establish a direct mathematical relationship between the two numbers in each pair. Therefore, 343, 7 and 512, 8 are analogous because both pairs share the same cube root relationship. The number 10 relates to 100 as 5 relates to 25. This relationship is based on the principle of squaring a number. Squaring a number means multiplying it by itself. Therefore, 100 is the square of 10 and 25 is the square of 5. Very hard analogies demand advanced logical and reasoning capabilities. Solving complex analogies involves identifying abstract relationships between concepts. Successful analogy completion relies on recognizing subtle, non-obvious connections. The process involves analyzing attributes and identifying parallel structures across different domains. Analogies establish relationships between two pairs of seemingly different items. An oasis provides water in a desert, mirroring how an island provides land in a sea. The relationship is based on a shared characteristic, a vital resource within a contrasting environment. Both the oasis and the island offer refuge and sustenance within their respective environments. Understanding the core relationship is key to solving the analogy. Therefore, oasis is to desert as island is to sea represents a valid analogy. Analogy. Clock is to time as thermometer is to temperature. A clock measures time. A thermometer measures temperature. Both instruments provide a quantitative measurement of a specific physical quantity. The analogy, newspaper is to press as cloth is to textile, illustrates a relationship of product to industry. A newspaper is the product of a printing press, representing the output of that industry. Similarly, cloth is the product of the textile industry, showcasing its manufacturing output. This analogy highlights the direct relationship between a specific product and the industry that produces it. Understanding this relationship is crucial for recognizing analogous connections between products and their origins. An analogy illustrates relationships between two pairs of concepts. A virus causes infection, establishing a cause and effect relationship. Similarly, a gun fires a bullet, demonstrating an analogous cause and effect relationship. The analogy highlights the parallel relationship. Cause leads to effect in both scenarios. Analogies establish relationships between two seemingly different pairs of concepts. Sunlight's effect on skin results in a tan, demonstrating a cause and effect relationship. Similarly, an injury inflicts pain, illustrating an analogous cause and effect dynamic. The relationship between sunlight and tan mirrors the relationship between injury and pain. In both instances, one event directly leads to and causes the other. Understanding this causal link is key to solving and comprehending analogies. The relationship between a poet and a poem is one of creation or authorship. An author creates a book, just as a poet creates a poem. Therefore, book is the logical completion of the analogy, poet is to poem, as author is to book. This analogy demonstrates a relationship of authorship or origination. This is an interactive challenge for viewers to participate by submitting their explanations. Viewers are encouraged to provide their answers in the comments section. The best explanation submitted by a viewer will be highlighted and recognized. The challenge promotes active learning and knowledge sharing among viewers. This interactive format fosters a sense of community and collaborative problem solving. The instructions are designed to be clear and concise for easy understanding and participation. Establishing the relationship between the first two words is crucial for solving analogies. Identifying the precise connection forms the basis for finding the correct analogous pair. The connection between the initial words acts as a template for the relationship in the answer. Understanding the nature of the connection is essential for accurate analogy completion. Mastering the art of identifying connections is fundamental to solving complex analogies. Recognizing relationships involves identifying connections between different concepts or entities. Profession and workplace is a common relationship, such as a doctor working in a hospital. Tool and use is another relationship, such as a hammer being used for construction. Animal and young one represents a biological relationship, for example, a cat and its kitten. Alphabet questions often involve identifying patterns based on letter positions. Assigning numerical values to letters, A1, B2, etc., can reveal underlying mathematical relationships. Letter shifts can be deciphered by calculating the numerical difference between letter positions. Identifying the numerical pattern allows for predicting the next letter in the sequence. Complex alphabet questions may involve multiple interwoven patterns. This numerical approach simplifies the identification of patterns in alphabet-based problems. Effective test-taking involves strategic elimination of incorrect answer choices. Avoid random guessing. Instead, use logic and knowledge to rule out implausible options. Smart elimination increases the probability of selecting the correct answer. Eliminating options strategically is more effective than blind guessing. Consistent daily practice is essential for improving speed and accuracy in solving analogy questions. Regular practice builds familiarity with common analogy patterns and question types. Daily exercises enhance cognitive flexibility, a key skill for identifying relationships between concepts. Increased speed in solving analogies stems from repeated exposure and efficient pattern recognition. Confidence in tackling analogy questions grows with consistent success and positive reinforcement. Daily practice sessions solidify understanding and improve long-term retention of analogy-solving strategies. Subscribing ensures access to clear, simplified, and exam-focused educational content. Clicking the subscribe button on Biggest Dream grants continuous access to educational videos. Subscribing supports the creation of more simplified and exam-oriented educational resources. Subscribing provides a streamlined learning experience with easy-to-understand educational videos. Viewers are encouraged to like the video to show their support and engagement. Commenting allows viewers to share their answers, to challenge questions and engage with the content. Sharing the video with exam groups facilitates collaborative learning and discussion. Increased engagement through likes, comments, and shares enhances the video's visibility and reach. Mutual support fosters collective advancement. This platform serves as an environment where aspirations can materialize. Collaborative assistance accelerates the realization of individual potential. The community provides a foundation for turning visions into tangible realities. Maintaining belief is essential for achieving goals. Consistent practice is a key component in the pursuit of success. Chasing one's biggest dream requires continuous effort and dedication. Belief, practice, and dream chasing are interconnected elements of achievement. Unyielding pursuit of dreams fosters personal growth and fulfillment. The video concludes, signaling the end of the current content. An invitation is extended to viewers to anticipate future videos. A closing statement expresses gratitude and anticipation for future interactions. A patriotic slogan is displayed to conclude the video. The video aims to foster a sense of community and continued learning. The outro serves as a final call to action, encouraging viewers to return. Visual cues can effectively illustrate relationships between words or concepts. Presenting related objects side by side enhances understanding and recall. Visual pairings facilitate quick association and cognitive linking. This technique is useful for demonstrating cause and effect or part-to-whole relationships. The juxtaposition of related visuals reinforces conceptual connections. A knife is designed for cutting, slicing, and chopping various materials. The blade's sharpness and edge geometry facilitate efficient material separation. Applying force to the knife's handle transfers energy to the blade, enabling the cutting process. The tomato's cellular structure yields to the concentrated force exerted by the knife. This interaction demonstrates the intended function of the knife to cut and divide materials. The visual cue pairs an adult animal with its young offspring. This pairing visually represents the concept of parent and child. The visual association reinforces understanding of familial relationships in nature. The size difference between the adult and young highlights growth and development. This visual cue can be applied across various animal species to illustrate the same concept. A country's flag serves as a visual symbol representing its national identity and sovereignty. Capital city landmarks often embody a nation's history, culture, and architectural achievements. Pairing a country's flag with its capital's landmark creates a visual cue for geographic and cultural association. The visual cue method enhances memory retention of country-capital relationships through combined imagery. This visual association strategy aids in geographical education and cultural awareness. Effective visual cues simplify complex information, making it more accessible and engaging. The alphabet can be visualized as a sequence of letters, each occupying a specific position. A shift from one letter to another represents a numerical change in position. This numerical shift can be positive, indicating movement forward in the alphabet. Conversely, a negative shift indicates movement backward in the alphabet. The magnitude of the shift corresponds to the distance between the letters. This analogy provides a visual method for understanding numerical relationships within the alphabet. Mathematical operations can be visually represented through symbolic notation. Visual cues clarify the transformation of numbers based on mathematical principles. Analogy helps in understanding complex mathematical operations. Symbolic representation provides a concise way to express mathematical relationships. A hard analogy visually compares two dissimilar concepts to highlight a specific similarity. The desert represents a challenging environment with limited resources. The oasis symbolizes a thriving, resource-rich environment. The transition from desert to oasis illustrates a stark contrast in resource availability and environmental conditions. Time is measured and displayed through various mechanical and digital clocks. Clocks use different mechanisms to track and represent the continuous flow of time. Different clock designs serve various purposes, from portable timekeeping to fixed location displays. The consistent ticking of clocks provides a reliable reference for temporal events. A large industrial press is used for high-volume newspaper printing. The printing process involves transferring ink from printing plates to paper. Printed newspapers are automatically folded and stacked for distribution. Newspapers provide a tangible medium for mass communication and information dissemination. Viruses initiate infection by attaching to host cells. Following attachment, the virus enters the host cell through membrane fusion or endocytosis. Once inside, the virus releases its genetic material to hijack the cellular machinery. The host cell's ribosomes are then used to produce viral proteins. New viral particles are assembled within the host cell. Finally, the new viruses are released, often destroying the host cell in the process. Sunlight exposure leads to skin tanning. Melanin production increases with sunlight exposure, causing the skin to darken. The skin's pigment cells, melanocytes, produce melanin as a protective response to UV radiation. Tanning is a natural defense mechanism against harmful ultraviolet UV rays. Prolonged sun exposure, without protection, can cause sunburn and increase the risk of skin cancer. Sunscreen helps to block UV rays and prevent tanning and sunburn. Analogies establish relationships between different concepts or entities. Word relationship analogies compare the connections between words. Object and function analogies relate an object to its purpose or action. Understanding analogy types enhances comprehension and problem-solving skills. Exam questions are sourced from various examinations such as SSC, CHSL 2021. Displaying exam names provides context and source verification for each question. Text overlays are used to identify the specific exam from which each question originates. Exam names are displayed to ensure transparency and build user confidence in the question's origin. Each step in a problem-solving process requires a clear and concise explanation of the underlying reasoning. Explanations should focus on the why behind each answer, not just the what. Concise explanations enhance understanding and retention of the problem-solving method. Step-by-step reasoning provides a transparent and verifiable solution pathway. Animation can visually connect related words to enhance understanding. Animating objects can illustrate their functional relationships within a system. Animation effectively demonstrates the correlation between abstract concepts. Visual connections through animation clarify complex relationships. Animation can highlight hierarchical relationships within a structure. Dynamic animations emphasize the interdependence of related elements. Each letter of the alphabet can be assigned a numerical value. The letter A is assigned the numerical value of 1. The letter B is assigned the numerical value of 2. A table or chart can visually represent the numerical values of all letters in the alphabet. A positive sound effect should play upon revealing the correct answer. The sound effect serves as immediate positive reinforcement for the user. Auditory feedback enhances the user experience and provides clear confirmation. The sound effect should be distinct and easily recognizable as a positive signal. This auditory cue reinforces learning and encourages continued engagement. A page turn sound effect is used to audibly signal a transition. The sound effect provides an auditory cue, marking the start of a new section or idea. This auditory transition enhances the viewer's understanding and retention of information. The page turn sound effect is a simple yet effective tool for structuring audio-visual content. Upbeat background music enhances viewer engagement by creating a positive and energetic atmosphere. Motivational music can increase focus and enthusiasm, leading to improved information retention. Strategic use of background music helps maintain viewer interest and prevents monotony during extended viewing sessions. Carefully selected background music complements the visual content, creating a cohesive and immersive viewing experience. Subscribing ensures viewers receive regular updates on new exam preparation content. Channel subscriptions provide access to a comprehensive library of exam preparation videos. Subscribers gain access to exclusive content and early access to new materials. Subscription supports the creation of more high-quality exam preparation resources. Viewers are encouraged to subscribe for continuous learning and exam success.